Yes. Good. And go. And go. So one of the things, whenever you guys are doing ladder drills, agility drills, using those, for me, my preference, I use shapes, okay? We use the grids and use grid training because it allows us to help our athlete with foot placement, and it also doesn't create the monotony of me getting good at a pattern that just do a 20-foot ladder. If you do the same thing over a 20-foot ladder, you're just getting good at the ladder. That's not necessarily translating to sport. And so when you pattern things through the ladder, you want to be sure that the movement is taking us through what we see similar in our sport. So with our lateral movement series, what we want to focus on is our lateral to and throughout to the shape. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and get in front of the shape. We're using two of our shapes. We start laterally, okay? Every time we progress through any type of movement or drill, we want to be sure that we take pressure and percentages that are at 20, 40, 60, 80, those types of percentages. If you can learn something slow well, you'll be able to do it much quicker. The only thing that has not changed throughout this is that we put the same amount of power into the ground. So every time we're stepping, there is still power being taught to be put in the ground. So we're 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Yeah. So first step will be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So now, stay in there. Now, in preparation for our movement portion, she's going to move laterally, and the way this affects us when we're playing ball is that if we have to come up and make a play and then change direction laterally, we have to understand that we have a foot before that helps us with our explosive step. So if I'm moving explosively to my left and I was changing and transitioning from a linear perspective, I'm running in a straight line, my left foot has to tell my body that I'm about to change directions and prepare me for that explosive right step to get me left. This drill and this type of piece of footwork will help create that understanding. So when she takes these last two steps, it's very similar to her coming up and she's coming forward and she has to drop a little harder with that left foot, and then that right foot punches her laterally. So all the steps coming here are the same. These last two, as soon as she feels that left foot drop, she's immediately underneath her hip. And go. Good. So now a little quicker, putting it together, about 50%. And go. Good. Be sure that step is power. Once we're right here, that is always the same. Those two steps get space, power, power. And go. Make those elbows move. Good. So now we speed it up. Stay low. We're looking for hip height changes, being sure that we're coaching those things. We don't want them tall as they're moving. Go up tight. Good. Tack it a little harder. Same thing with that right foot. We want to look as a coach, and the reason we use the grids is we want to see that foot almost mirroring that top part of the shape. So when she hits here, we want to mirror that angular side of the shape to push out. We want to be sure it's underneath that cheek. Here we go. Full speed. And go. Push. Good. Good. That's the same thing we're constantly coaching during this drill. Constantly coaching. It's not just an activity drill. I'm seeing that her foot's still getting outside of her hip, so we want to constantly coach that. Our cue here will just be, I need you to put your foot down quicker, because it's a connection thing that's happening. She's not sending a signal to drive her right foot down soon enough, so it's allowing it to get long because her brain is still thinking about movement that way. It knows it's got to go that way, but she's not putting her foot in the position to get there as fast as possible. Right under, right under. As soon as you feel that left foot, drive that right foot. And steps, 2 power. Yes!